Welcome. This is Barry Jones from Angelic Wisdom, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for May the 29th through June 4th, 2023. So I'd just like to welcome everyone back to this weekly series and to also welcome anyone who is new to our Angelic Wisdom community. Before we get into the reading itself, I'd just like to remind you to subscribe, to select the all notification bell so that you will receive um, all of the notifications when a video has been posted or any post on my channel. I just also want you to remember to like, dislike, and leave your comments and share your angelic wisdom with everyone as well. It is so greatly appreciated, and I've been really receiving so many wonderful insights through them as well. And also, just want to add as a client from way around the world in Australia was just telling me that she had been following me for the longest time up until about, I don't remember the dates, but that's 2019. And then she discovered me some years later because of the notifications aren't working um, on YouTube. And I've heard this a lot over the last few years. So, that's why I'm always reminding you to check it and select it again because it's happening. It's a real thing. Um, and as I was trying to say, also that I've since 2012 I've never missed this weekly angel reading, and I've had death in the family, loss of my mom in particular when I was in the hospital unexpectedly. They kept me sane, so there's really no reason I can think of that I would ever not be present to do these readings. And so I plan to do them until the very last years of my life. And, you know, so just research and Google me if you're not seeing me. Also, I'd like to invite you to, if you'd like to receive an angel reading with me, to go to my current website, theangelschool.com/services. And you can select the first time promotional offer if you are a first time client. And there are other reading options available to you as well. Um, hmm, okay. Well, I guess I will. Well, also, if you just like to contribute to my channel, you can go to my PayPal me link, which is also in the description area below. And whatever is on your heart to offer um, will be greatly appreciated. And so feel free to um, utilize that if that's what you feel called to do. And this week, I'm going to be working on this weekend actually, the monthly angel reading, and I'm going to schedule in time for the monthly, just rather writing astrological, the monthly zodiac readings, the monthly angel scopes. So definitely am being given the sign that I will be able to get those um, done and out to you. So be on the lookout for a lot of content coming out all at once. Sorry, but it's just how it works, it seems, every month. And so let us take this moment to take a deep breath, to center, and to really connect in with your I am presence, the peace of your soul they're writing, the peace that has all understanding, the peace that is consistently available to you throughout all of your lives. And its peace, as they're writing, is a perfection. And they're writing, it's the best. And they ask you for a moment, and I'm going to ask you to alter this if um, to make it comfortable for you. But they wrote the Pacific Ocean. So if the ocean, for some like myself, is a bit too much, you can put yourself in a pool, that's not deep. Um, especially if you've had lifetimes where you've drowned. But they just want you to just give yourself now, see yourself lying on the beach near the ocean or floating in the ocean. And this might be scary and it might be a challenge for us, for you and me. And it's about, they're writing the word safety. It's about safety. And we really do have difficulties trusting God, trusting the universe, that it's always going to be there to support us. And sometimes it's really, I start to feel it's not about the support of the universe that we doubt, but we just doubt just how vast it is, the universe, and not just the physical universe, but God, heaven, whatever you call it, however you relate to it, that it's so vast. And that frightens us in some way. I know the ocean frightens me, and I thought it was because of the drownings I've relived from past lives, but all of a sudden I realize it's the vastness of it. And in some way, in that moment, you feel like you're alone. Maybe that you could drown, or that maybe you could just be floating endlessly. And then another aspect comes up, that we're one with all of that, not separated. And maybe this sensation of fear that comes up is the ego holding on, trying to prevent you and I from becoming one with oneness again. We're afraid of that peace that comes from being one with it all again, where there's no division and there's just incredible unconditional love. Perhaps, and maybe not so much, but it's in this direction that we're afraid of facing that oneness, that love, where we might see how we've acted in ways that have been against it. And some of those ways are so subtle and imperceptible that it might be truly shocking when you thought you were doing all the right things and doing it for the right reasons. But it was really for the ego's own selfish reasons. And so we know our ego is afraid. That's why it created fear. And it created, out of that fear, illusions to keep us feeling separated, but also to support this idea of individuality and free will. So it's there for a purpose. And then there are other purposes that arose out of it that are not divine, for lack of a better word. And as we might feel, for some of you might already be relaxing, but as that vastness frightens us, that vastness not always, but is also making us aware of the potential, the strength, the power that living in separation is causing us to ignore, that living in limitation is causing us to deny. And so, right now, the universe, your soul in particular, your higher self, is by embodying your reality, infusing itself in your consciousness more concretely, is causing a natural wave of expansion of everything that you could ever experience or express or acknowledge as yourself. And this is way outside the purview of your ego's grip of control. And the angels write the planet Jupiter in front of me. And so this is really indicating that the time of abundance. As I was meditating, the angel 48 came to me, and I always recognize that as the angels of abundance. So the message here says, your prayers about money have been heard and answered by the angels. But what I'm hearing is that this prayer is being answered through your expansion. And it is our role right now to allow ourselves to expand, to not resist or fight or struggle with that expansion. I'm seeing the angel number 298. And the message reads, oops, sorry about that. Your prayers about finding a meaningful career that yields a meaningful income have been heard and answered. As you work on your divine life mission, everything improves, including your finances. So this is clearly a call, a signal for you to allow this expansion to happen in your career. That if you've been feeling like you've been um I wonder why I said fielding, and that word might be intentional. Um, that in the sense that you might have been fielding in terms of looking beyond, looking outside of what's out there on the horizons and in your field. And maybe it's a sort of play on feeling and fielding, sort of this idea that you've had this sense that there's other things out there for you, or that it's time to grow beyond where you've been in your field, that there's more out there, there's more opportunities out there for you to cultivate for yourself. And if you've been holding yourself back out of fear, believing in all those limitations and inadequacies, if you've been just letting your imposter syndrome really imprison you in a position of uncertainty and unfulfillment and unhappiness. And there's the reason behind that is what's important. It's what's not true. It's not real. And all you got to do right now is practice courage. Courage in the midst of the illusions. To it's saying one thing, but what you're being asked to do is ignore it. Ignore what you're seeing or what you think is happening. Ignore it and go ahead and give yourself to this this feeling of moving further into the field of where you are. And I saw several numbers, 648 and then 66, but I saw it as one string. So I'm going to read them in three and then two. And it says, give any worries to the angels who are assuring that all of your needs are met. Okay? And of course, 66 says, when you're burdened by worry, stress, or fear, it's more difficult to hear your angels' loving help. This is a message for you to spend time in prayer and meditation. Ask for spiritual intervention and open your arms to receive the help that always follows prayers. So they're first telling you to give it away, give that. And this is that surrender piece. And there was a person who asked me about what did I mean by that. First of all, let me explain it this way first. I think you've heard me give this example of the energy of war versus peace. These are two different phone lines, like two different, they're so far apart. However, many of us get conned by our egos into thinking that we're fighting for peace. Now, peace is something that doesn't need to be fought for. It is. It is a, as the Psalm 23 sort of says, a table prepared for you in the midst of your enemies. And it's that feast, it's a celebration table. It's there for you to feast upon. You don't have to fight for it. It's already yours. You own it. War is a struggle around lack. Because fear is the foundation for war, but underneath fear is lack. So people are usually fighting for power. When you think that you are spiritually trying to correct that, you end up thinking that you have to fight for the good side. The good side doesn't have a fight. It doesn't even engage energy that way at all. So, if you're trying to fight against an injustice, then what you're actually doing is focusing on the same energy that the other side is wanting and focusing upon. So if you want justice, then you have to focus at the feast table of justice. The ideas of justice are already laid out on that banquet table. And all we have to do is pick up those ideas and feed everyone else. Because that's why the Creator has created these banquet tables of our prosperity, of our joy, and our peace for us. So that we don't have to fight for them because they're within us. And all we have to do is light them up inside of us and offer the path to justice. Don't fight with the people over there, but put actions, plans into action. Put divine plans into action. Because divine plans come completely sober of the problems of injustice that you see. They come from the sober awareness and truth of the divine, the solution that cannot be toppled over by any power of illusion that the ego can project. And so the concept of surrender is that to our ego, we have to lose that battle where you're trying to fight against the opposition. Because what that does is not, well, I'll put it this way first. What it does is it zaps energy because it's a power struggle. And any power struggle, there are going to be consequences in that power struggle. It's unavoidable. Karma is just going to be unavoidable because you're going to do something that is not going to benefit somebody else. And so that means that this win-lose dynamic keeps sort of this cycle of that thing going on. It's a temporary fix when you try to fix problems. It's like instead of going to an expert plumber to fix your pipes, you try to fix it with duct tape. Or you try to fix it with tools that you think are adequate. And that could be like those of us who are highly spiritual and think, because we've been conned, that we're actually using the spiritual tools to fix that pipe. But we don't have the expertise, so it's not divine guidance, expertise. And so when we go to the expert, that is to say, the peace of our hearts and soul, the peace of God, and get that divine expertise, we are given a banquet table. Because what does banquets do? Food unites all parties. And why does it do that? Because it is a true basic need that we all have for our physical life. We all need food to survive, to thrive, to be healthy. And it unites us. It's a unifying context. So when you take those ideas from that banquet table, then there's going to be common goals. Your path to creating peace or to create justice will come with benefits for all. It will unify as it heals. And as when we unify as we heal, this healing is everlasting. And we have to practice surrendering. We have to practice losing to this paradigm of fear, this paradigm of controlling and manipulating everything, fixing problems. As I said last week, or maybe I said in a writing, that when we try to fix a problem from our inexpertise, only thing we can do, and I want you to hear it the way I really meant it to be said, we make the problem better. As in, the problem gets better, not fixed, healed, it just gets better. The problem becomes a greater problem, is what I'm trying to say. But when we feast from the banquet table, problems are healed through the process of unification. And as they just wrote, they want to add respect. And when you are confused or when you're angry, you're feeling all these kind of negative emotions, you feel disrespected, and then you're wanting the other person to respect you. But until you surrender, you won't find the respect for them that will then naturally help them to have respect for you, to see the respect you deserve. And so, as I've been practicing this, the power of what is coming through out of this practice of surrender are miracles. Gifts are being restored because the burden of fear, the burden of illusion suppresses your spiritual gifts of healing. I forgot to in one of the writings that will come out on Sunday at 2 p.m. I'm gonna have to go back, and I was talking about these roses I found last Sunday, and I was on my way to take out our trash, and then I was gonna go to the grocery store, and I find these beautiful white roses with very pale pink center, and the outer was a pale green, and it was sort of like the fifth dimensional heart chakra that Dinah Cooper describes. And I was taken aback by them. They were brand new and never opened. They were still all wrapped up in this beautiful, and they must have cost a lot. And this college student was given them as a graduation present, just threw them away. And so I took them in, not knowing the lesson they were going to teach me. And I put them in water and put the plant food in, and I could smell the smell started to come, the beautiful pink rose smell. And but one of the roses at the time was very saggy. The bulb was just hanging, head was bent down, and the petals were looked soggy. And I did energy healing on it, but later in the week, I noticed it's getting weaker, and so I just really focused on um, reviving them. And the next, I did cut, full disclosure, I cut and fed them again, but that doesn't usually bring them back from that kind of. I mean, the all of the green, the leaves had fallen off of all of them. They were falling still, so they were definitely wanting to expire. However, the next morning when I woke up after doing that, I think it was like Thursday morning when I woke up, all of those, and that's the day I wrote the 28th, um, Monday, which will come out on Sunday, that reading. And that flower had completely, the bulb was standing straight up, and all of the petals had been revived. Now, and so many things had happened that day when I found those roses, like all these little wonderful things, like this really young man. God, it made me feel old, but it was just like I had all these grocery bags, and I go through this every week. And living in New York, I think to myself, how long am I going to be able to do this the older I get? But trying to swipe my card, and he just walked over to me. He was like, "Can I hold those for you?" And I was taken aback, and I could see the sincerity. So I gave him my bags, and he waited. And there were so many other beautiful things like that happened that were unusual. And this taught me that as we're starting this practice of surrender, I'm not perfect with it, but I do catch myself, and I just surrender. I find myself worrying, and I let it go, because every time I'm worrying, I feel myself trying to manipulate, trying to get things to go the way I want them to be. And what the surrender is saying is that we're giving that up, because it's a waste of our energy. And I'm the biggest warrior in the world, and it's taken me so long to get it. I've had cousins and people that I do readings for get it before I get it, but that's okay. I know that that I'm just here to show up, and people are gonna be ahead of me, and people are gonna be in all different places around me. But I was seeing this out of the surrender, and the most poignant thing about this was, as I catch myself when I let go, I allow those solutions. I allow myself to receive the feast from that banquet table of peace. And I'm starting to get used to it. I'm starting to know what it feels like. And I'm starting to enjoy what I can, the little teeny things I can expect from it. And so this the flower thing was just like, oh my God, it shocked me. Now, yesterday I went back to the flowers as I saw it was starting slightly. And when I tuned into them, they asked me to let them go. They wanted freedom, because my intention of trying to hold them there was not really what they wanted. But they did it for me, and everything happened as it was supposed to happen so that I would understand the cost that manipulating and controlling has had on my spiritual gifts and talents. And that in letting go, surrendering, these are the things that can come back to all of us. This three-dimensional sort of connection has been zapping our power and causing us to feel so desperate to obtain power at any cost. But I also learned something, that the expiration of things, of life, of our loved ones, it's really, as it's been said, it's intentional. It's not a tragedy. It's on purpose. You and I cannot decide that the loss of a life is a tragedy. That is our ego's illusion, projection. But from the divine and from that soul's perspective, the higher self that gave the green light for that transition, it is well with the soul. It is well. And you and I can't be happy. We can't go through our grief process until we get that. We can't go through our grief in a healthy way until we accept that, embrace that. And I've met a lot of people in the last few weeks who are very afraid of dying. And that's the reason why we can't embrace the celebration of each person's transition. This morning, when I woke up, those flowers began their transition, those roses. More of them that I hadn't even noticed were going before had started to go. And that affirmed this, what I'm telling you now, the message I just shared with you. All right, so I know this has gone very long, but I think it's very important. And who better to confirm this is the Archangel Raziel, who is the archangel of, he's sort of the archangel of the esoteric mysteries and insights and guidance. And so this says, seek and you will find, be a wise one. Okay? So you can work with Archangel Raziel. Think of him as the Professor Dumbledore of the angelic realm. And you can work with him to help you to understand things in life that your rational brain cannot cannot process. It doesn't understand. Like, it doesn't make sense, but there's a divine reason and divine purpose. And there are a lot of things coming up right now, especially health and symptoms of ascension, that are going to cause a lot of people to freak out about their mortality. Because, see, that's the ego's last ditch effort to reel us in, to get us back into that grab for power. Because you're going to try to save your life, like I wanted to save those flowers. But you and I can't do that without first asking permission or finding out what we need. And it may be that you're not expiring, but you need this lesson, the spiritual challenge, to help you learn to surrender, to be your authentic self, to allow your body and your health to operate in its authentic expression, which is healing, whether that be through your physical regeneration of your body's cells and life and vitality, or through the renewal, the restoration to your divine body, and that expansion into oneness, free of the limitations of the physical parameters of life. But seek out that peace so that you don't engage in a war that was unnecessary, but that you were able to celebrate from that table. And let's take a look at the card for the first part of the week. And this is the Queen of Cups. And the message says, compassion is an expression of your highest self. So this card is really asking you to, and isn't it interesting, because they were having us to confront that body of water at the beginning of the ocean, and here she is, the Queen of Cups, at total peace. She is trusting, and this is what about that, she's trusting her feelings, she's trusting her heart. It's not all about what we see, but it's what we know, what we feel. And this brings us back to that point of trusting that it's your time to expand. Because your mind is going to tell you it's not the right time, but your heart's telling you that it is. And so trust your intuition. Trust that you're safe. Trust that it's the right time and that everything is going to be safe for you to move beyond the space that you were comfortable holding before. It's time for you to hold not only a larger space, but they write the highest. And here we have the Ace of Wands. And the only thing about these cards is that the messages are wonderful, but they're very small. So I'm sorry about that, but I'll read them for you. It says, trust the magic of starting something new. Wow. I mean, we could not get any clearer about this is the time for you to expand yourself. And they're writing the word expression. And what they're wanting me to tell you is that this is going to come through authenticity. And all of that surrender is going to be like peeling the shell off, shells of illusion, so that that authenticity comes through. And that's why those natural divine gifts that have been latent for lifetimes will come rushing to the surface and renew your life in ways that will start to feel magical. So trust the magic of starting something new because it is. And this card has been coming up in the background a lot of the daily card messages because I pull 4 cards. And so it's been coming up in a lot of them. And this is the King of Swords. And it says, recognize and honor your authority over your mind. Recognize and honor your authority over your mind. Okay? And this goes back to trusting and believing in your heart. When you have faith in what your heart is guiding you to do or summoning you towards, you can make that reality come true. Just like my intention as I've been practicing surrender, when I wanted those flowers to heal, I really wasn't expecting it to do that, but it did. It looked completely almost brand new. And that is something that we all have the potential to do. And when we tune in with our hearts to what needs to expand and what needs to be let go of, then we can accurately achieve and master, manifest what we want. All right, let's take a look at the card from the bottom of the deck. And it's the Ace of Swords. And it says, clarity is knowing what you want. This card came up as well in the middle of the week. And in a second position, not the main card. And I thought that was such an incredible thought. Clarity is knowing what you want. So then what is confusion and fear and anxiety? It's uncertainty. It's you not knowing, you focused, you practicing the vibration of something you don't want. You should fear that. You should. You should fear that. You should be afraid that you spend your time thinking about the things you don't want. Because you are the creator of your reality, and bam, you get it. So we have to really focus on altering where we put our energy. And this is what the surrender is really all about. When you surrender, you can hear your heart, and your heart's desire is always what you want or better. You just got to trust. We're just afraid of the expansion. We're afraid that we don't know how to get there. We're afraid that we don't know how to be that. You already are that. What you're experiencing is the practice of you holding yourself from having that or withholding that from yourself. That is why miracles are natural, as the Course in Miracles says. Miracles are natural. The practice of the experience, which is a practice, of you having more failures and negative experiences is you intently working very hard against the nature of miracles to prove to yourself that you are unworthy of that. That's all that work is. That is my analogy of the beach ball. When we pull that beach ball that naturally floats on top of the water and we hold it under the water, that is unnatural. That is the opposite of miracle. The beach ball floating in the water, you do nothing. That's a miracle. That's your natural state of being. And the practice of surrender will help you to peel that illusion away. And you will start to experience expansion and abundance that feels almost leisurely. So I send you great blessings, peace, compassion, as they write, and understanding of yourself and the ability to discern your own heart. God bless you.